Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Motorcast. This is your host, Dave. I got a line of special guests, the Impatient Nitro Fuel Alter driver, James Generalao. Generalao. How you doing?
Not bad. How are you doing?
Not bad at all. So, how's the Fuel Alter been running for you this year?
We've raced it twice. We went to the March meet, qualified number 6 with a 618, but lost first round to the Mighty Mouse. And then we did a match race at Verona earlier this year, and we raced 500 feet, and we were low ET out of all the nitro cars at a 343 at 150. So that part's not been too bad, but we only raced it twice. We were supposed to go Verona a couple weeks ago and then got rained out.
So, are you done for the year now?
Yes. We'll be heading to the Hot Rod reunion. My sister has an altar that she runs in NE2, so we're going there to have her race.
All right. So now let me rewind the clock now and ask you, how did you get into drag racing?
Through my family, my grandfather started racing, I think back in the 60s. Then it transferred to my dad, and then my uncle, and then it just was been handed down from there on.
So, what year did you start drag racing?
I was actually 14 years old.
Wow.
Didn't have a driver's license. My uncle had built a S10 with a small block Chevy 350 and short-tin rear end, and we went out to Hawaii Raceway Park one night, and he told me, if you want to drive it, go ahead, but don't drive it like a wimp. You better hold the throttle. And I went out there, and I ended up running a best of a 14:35, I think, and I made like 8 or 10 runs in an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how was the experience like going down the track for the first time ever?
It was awesome. I mean, I went down the track in tow vehicles. Once I even tried to sneak in my dad's 48 Angler in the back seat, but got caught. So, yeah, it was fun.
So how long did you race that car for?
I only raced that probably that one night. Then when I actually got a license and started racing, I was a senior in high school, and I started off driving a Volkswagen Bug, a 59 or 57 Bug.
And give me the whole history of like how long you run the bug for go all the way through all your cars.
So probably 92 to maybe 93, I drove the Volkswagen. And then from there, I actually started driving my uncle's Alter, which was Rick Huff's Nano back in Hawaii, which we ended up buying it from them when they moved back to the mainland. And I've been driving an Alter since 1993, 1994.
So what's the quickest pass you've made with the altered?
My Nitro car, 594 at 233.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now, after all these years, James, what still keeps you passionate about drag racing?
The speed and the atmosphere at the races and hanging out and doing it with my family. My dad's kind of my crew chief. My mom, my sister, my brother-in-law, my niece, they're all part of our crew. We got a couple friends that help us. Just the idea of going fast. I mean, it's just, you can't beat it. It's a lot of work, but it is pretty awesome to get in there and step on the throttle. The burnouts are probably the most fun, and then after that, the runs can be exciting too.
Now, how did the Impatient Racing, how'd that come about?
My mom actually named it when I got my first Alter from my uncle. We were having it painted and trying to come up with a name for it, and my mom suggested Impatient because I was always impatient. I never wanted to wait for anything. I was always needing to do stuff right now.
Wow, that's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now, when you first started drag racing, did you have any drivers out there that you looked up to? Any heroes out there?
Probably model. I loved his candy red top fuel cars, and my first alter when I first painted it, it was candy red, and I've kept the red color. I just have gone to a more traditional red color because it tends to stand out in pictures at night versus candy red car gets so dark and doesn't take pictures well at night.
So now, you're altered. How many gallon fuel pump you got on there?
It's a 21 gallon. It's set up with a 871 blower, 21 gallon Waterman fuel pump, single point type magneto. It's got a JP1 block, KD water heads, and actually runs a flat tappet camshaft and misters right now. So it's very nostalgic in that car.
What kind of tires you run on it?
It's got 34, 17 and a half Mickey Thompsons, and then Mickey Thompson front tires.
Now, with the burnout in the past, how much nitro you burn?
We normally burn about 8 gallons a pass. Between burnout and the run, it's usually about 8 gallons on that car.
So now you said your crew members are all your family members?
Yep. My mom and dad, my wife, my sister, my brother-in-law, my niece, and then I have a friend, Damon Evans, that comes to the races with us sometimes. And yeah, that's pretty much. And then I've had some cousins that have come out and helped us when I've been short when my family's had to do other stuff for like my niece's school. Then I've had a couple cousins that have come out and helped us.
I mean, your dad's the crew chief.
Yep.
Now, who packs the chutes?
Normally it's my mom or my wife, depending on who's there, or they do it together. And then sometimes it's a team effort between my brother-in-law and me helping because the pilot springs are so strong that my wife and my mom can't really pull the strings to pack the parachutes.
Now, when you're out on the track, James, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions?
The only thing that I do, because sometimes I get so worked up, is I actually chew some gum to keep my nerves, to keep me calm and relaxed. Lately, it's been nice that when we've been racing at Bakersfield, the Racers for Christ, always come up and say a prayer with you before you make every run. So that's really helps calm you down and give you a little bit more relaxed feeling when you're going to make a pass, especially going 6 seconds at 220 miles an hour.
So now, what are your favorite tracks to run on?
I like running at Bakersfield. Boise has been really fun. I've actually run at Alaska Raceway Park also. So those are some of the neatest. And probably one of the best is Vandermeer Speedway. Just being up on the mountain and the way that bleachers is so steep looking down, and racing in front of 20,000, 30,000 people was pretty awesome.
Now, have you ever gone to the Fuel Alter Nationals?
I ran the Tucson ones for several years before they stopped, and I went to my first one at Boise in 2004, and then I went to every one until they stopped running the Fuel Alters and went with all the nostalgia funny cars.
So how'd you do at the one in 2004?
I actually qualified for the beef. I think it was the B race, the bonus race, which was pretty impressive, being that we had the smallest blower and fuel pump with all the Transformer Fuel Alters. We ended up losing to a Transformer car, but we ended up running. We made 3 good runs. We ran 640s at like 215, I think, the best when we were up there.
So what's been your most memorable race?
Probably, I think it was 2006 maybe? I'd have to look. We actually qualified at the Night Fire Nationals, which is in the Fuel Alters at Boise. we actually qualified for the Quick Four with our nostalgia setup with all the Transformers, and that was pretty impressive. We ran 6:34, I think it was, to qualify with like Dave Hicks, Ricky Ruiz with a Nevada router. So that was a pretty impressive race for us. And then I won a Wally at Chewy's Fuel Alter Classic at Bakersfield, which was pretty awesome, actually having a Wally.
Yeah. So how many Wallies do you have? Just one?
I just have that one. I've been trying to win one at the March meet, but I've runner-up once, and either I don't qualify or I qualify, and I had the crash in 2016, which I was the number one qualifier, won first round, but we crashed in that first round, and then we came back the next year, qualified number 3, and then went to the final and lost the final to Brian Hall with the Trans.
So now, how many accidents have you had?
Big crash-wise, probably the one at the 2016 March meet. I've had one other one where I banged the supercharger, couldn't see, bounced it off the wall, bent a chassis, been on fire a couple times, burned paint. But other than that, probably the crash in 2016 would probably be the only real crash I've actually been in.
Well, knock on wood, James, you're not going to have any more accidents.
No, I plan not to, and you always hope to. And living through one and not being hurt that bad was pretty amazing.
Now, do you have any sponsors for the Altered?
Yeah, I do have a few people that help me. Rich and Paul Howell from Howell Drilling in Long Beach, they help me out. They're probably my biggest supporters on the car, and they keep helping me out every year. The Mike Judson from Mickey Thompson Tires, he's helped me with getting some good discounts on tires. And then I have a friend, Tony Kamara, out of Hawaii, with his TMK towing. He's helped me a bit. He helped me to get to last year's March meet. So those are some of my sponsors that have helped me through the years.
Now, what goes into preparation to get the Alter ready for a weekend?
Normally it's checking bearings. So like when we got ready for Verona, we pull the pan off, check all the bearings, make sure everything's good, make sure that we have enough clutch disc material on it so we can make the 2 runs, and make sure we have fuel, oil, spark plugs. The car gets a complete cleaning, so it's polished wheels, anything aluminum, body. So when it gets to the racetrack, looks like it's ready for a car show, and then it's ready to go racing.
All right, now you do only quarter-mile racing, or you do eighth mile too?
Well, to me, it doesn't really matter. Quarter mile is great, but lately we've been doing these deals in Verona because they're on only an 8-mile racetrack, but their shutdown is very short. So the fuel cars have only been running to 500 feet, and that's been fun. It's short. I mean, you get on the throttle, and before you know it, it's over. So I mean, it's so short that I don't even shift the car into high gear. I just run it in low gear and get off the throttle. But those have been fun. They've been nice, and they've been packing the place with spectators. So those have been, and they're one-night shows. They've been really cool.
Now, have you ever thought about getting a funny car body and doing changing the body around the Alter and funny car?
I was thinking about it one time when I kind of wasn't getting any fuel alter races years ago before they started doing the 6.0 deal. But when I looked into the cost and all the changes I would have to do to the car with changing supercharger, changing clutch, probably having to step up and buy a data logger and carbon fiber brakes and all the safety stuff, it just cost, and I couldn't afford to go out there and burn pistons every run to run 560. So it just made it not feasible to put a funny car body and go run it.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to go run one of those funny car chaos events.
Yeah, that would be cool. And I talked to Chris Graves. I was in Texas last year. My wife was doing some training, and I actually went to Extreme Raceway Park, and Chris was there, and we got to talking, and he was talking about trying to do some fuel altered stuff in the next year or so, and which like the funny car chaos, which would be cool. I'd be really interested in doing some of those. And in fact, I just read recently on Drag Racing Online, he's going to be the president of the Outlaw Fuel Altered Association now.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah.
So now, James, where do you get all your fire safety equipment from?
DJ Safety has been a big supporter of mine and have helped me out for years.
Big Ben.
Everything. Yep, Big Ben. I get all my parachutes, fire suit. The only thing I don't get from them is I do use a Simpson racing helmet. Other than that, everything comes from DJ Safety.
All right. Now, what would you consider to be some of the milestones of your drag racing career?
Milestones? Running my first 5-second run was pretty cool. I did it at Vegas. Qualifying for the Quick Four at Boise for their Fuel Alter Nationals. My first Fuel Alter Nationals I ever ran when I first moved here from Hawaii, I actually qualified and got paid for both rounds racing against all the Transformers, and that was back in 2001 when I first started. And I got to race like Ron Fossil and Mac McCord, some of the legends of the Fuel Alter days. And then going to the finals at the 2017 March meet was pretty awesome.
All right, so let me see. We're going to do some fun questions now.
Okay.
If someone were to come up to you and offer you $800 million to build a brand new drag race track, where would you consider building a new track at, and what kind of features would you want to put into that new track?
Oh, build a brand new track? I know, like right now, my home state of Hawaii on Oahu, they are struggling to get. They haven't had a drag strip since 2006. It'd be pretty cool to be able to go back to Hawaii and maybe, if I had that kind of money, to build a racetrack for that and bring in cars from the mainland like they used to back in the days when Hawaii Racing Park was first built. They used to bring in, funny cars, Top Fuel cars, Jim Dunn. That would be probably pretty cool.
So would you want to put any special features into the track?
I would probably like to do. I don't know if I'd do a 4-lane deal. 2-lane is the 4-lane is cool, but it's a little too much chaos. Making it stadium seating like Chicago would probably be really awesome. And I would like to have covered bleachers like Bowling Green, Kentucky, because that sun in Hawaii and the humidity can bake you. I think that's what every racetrack should do. They should make some type of roof covering for the bleachers so people don't get extreme sunburn.
Yeah, it's good for the rain too. When it's raining, then they could stay under there till the rain stops.
Right, and then like at Charlotte, when the lightning gets close, everybody has to run under the bleachers and all that. So I don't know if that would be any protection, but yeah, I mean having a roof over your head would help with the weather for rain and for sun.
Yeah. Now, James, do you have any hobbies outside of drag racing?
I actually do some RC car racing. I was doing for several years. I had a friend here in Vegas that opened a indoor off-road track, so I was doing that for about 7 years. I still got some of the cars. And then for fun, we go bowling. But other than that, it's just, we love drag racing. We just started this year. My niece started racing a junior dragster. So that's been a little bit of a challenge, helping her learn to drive and race and stuff.
Well, how old is your niece?
She just made 10 in May. So she started off with a 1290 engine, and now with her turning 10, she'll be running 890s next year.
Awesome. I've had a couple of junior dragsters on the air for interviews. We'll have to set up an interview with your niece.
Oh yeah, she likes to talk. She'll be perfect.
Yeah.
She loves to talk. She's always wanting to. Sometimes we're like, calm down, go entertain yourself.
Yeah, well, the junior dragsters, they're the future of drag racing right there.
Oh yeah, and she's enjoying it. She's having a great time. She likes going out to the racetrack and hanging out with her friends and stuff. So as long as she's enjoying it, we'll keep doing it with her, and we'll see if she ends up stepping into a big car when she gets older. She's already talking about if we're looking for a car for her dad right now, and she's like, well, if it's a dragster, then she wants to step into it when she's old enough. So we'll see when that time comes, because that'd probably be about 8 more years before she can get in a big car.
No. Does anybody else in your family drag race?
My dad hasn't raced in, he's just been crew chiefing for the last 10, 15 years, but my sister has been racing her Alter probably a good 10 years. She's actually won several streetcar super nationals in the super index. She's won, I think, twice. She won a Wally at Speed Road for a heritage race, and she's won when we used to race at PSCA. She's probably won about 4 or 5 races at PSCA, and then last year she was actually runner-up at the Hot Rod Union. But she lost in the final round on a double breakout.
Now, in fuel alter racing, you have a greatest competitor?
Probably the guy I would like to race, and we've only raced a couple times, but we've been doing it for a long time. Is Dan Hicks with the Heat Seeker? He's got some of the 3 March meet wins that I would like to get a couple. But they're good people to race with. His partner John Kegley and Mike Mosby are good friends of mine. John was putting on the Chewy's Fuel Alter races at Bakersfield for several years, so they're probably one of the cars I like to race with, and I think is the car to beat.
Now, are there any fuel alter cars out there that you've never lined up with that you would love to line up with one these days?
I haven't raced against Brian Hope in the Pier Hell, which would probably be pretty cool. I did line up against the Nitro Madness with Radar Roger Lechtenberg, which was pretty neat. I mean, he's been racing top fuel cars for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say if there's anybody else, because I've raced a few of the legends, and there's not very many that are still running to this day that I'd be interested in running.
Yeah, have you ever raced Jurassic Classic?
No, I've not raced Jurassic Classic. They were at Boise one year. We were there, so I did talk to Tom Moultrie. Their car is pretty bad. I mean, that'd be a pretty neat car to run against, but that thing's a Transformer deal and is run 550s, I think. So it's one of those, I don't stand a chance, but I'm not afraid to line up against anybody. And that's when I first started. We went to those Fuel Altered shows, the Fuel Altered Nationals at Tucson, and it was like, we just take it, and our deal is just get down the racetrack, and if we do and they don't, then we get a chance to qualify and go racing and make some money.
Yep. All right, now, if you could do time travel and go back in the time, would you do anything differently with your drag racing career?
Probably, if we could turn back time, would have been after moving to Vegas in 2000. If we could have moved from Hawaii earlier than that, we probably would have been way ahead in our racing than we are now. But racing in Hawaii was fun too. But just the idea of the travel and the racing back in the 80s and 90s was probably a better time for drag racing than it is like right now. You know, with NHRA so corporate now, it's sometimes it's not as fun.
So how many drag race tracks do they have in Hawaii?
Oahu had one, Kauai has one, Maui has one, and Big Island has one in the Hilo side. They've been trying for years to build one on the Kona side of the island, which is the west side of the island, but they haven't been able to come up with the funding. And then Oahu lost theirs back in 2006, which they're trying to. Just recently, I read something that they may have got some land approval, so it's just a matter of getting financing for it to build it. Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're out on the track for a day of racing, as far as eating, do you eat regularly, or do you eat light and wait till the races are done? Eat more.
I usually don't eat before racing. I prefer to eat after I'm done, unless we've been sitting around for a long time. Then I'll maybe snack a little bit. But yeah, I tend to not eat during the race. I'll wait till we're all done, and then that way I don't get all nervous and have some upset stomach because I'm waiting to go racing.
All right. So, what is your favorite food to eat?
My favorite food to eat is I like burgers, pizza. Like when we're going to the reunion, my mom will cook us some chili. What we'll have for dinner, her plan is to make some corn chowder soup. So we eat sandwiches. So it just depends. One of my favorite dishes, my mom makes some Portuguese bean soup, and that is just awesome.
That sounds good.
Yes, it is, especially when it's cold.
All right, James, what's your favorite beverage to drink?
For soda, I like a cherry Coke. For beer, I've been drinking Michelob Ultra lately.
Michelob Ultra. I was just drinking that at the bar a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. I tried it several months ago, and it goes down pretty smooth, and it's actually not bad of a beer.
So now, James, you watch movies at all?
Yeah, I'm a big Marvel fan.
So what's your favorite Marvel movie?
I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is by far my favorite movie.
All right, so what's your favorite music?
Music, I really like country, especially George Strait.
So you like, older country music, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, new country's kind of more like poppy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, when you were growing up as a kid, did you have a favorite cartoon to watch?
My favorite cartoon was always Mighty Mouse and Speedy Gonzales were like my two favorite ones.
Mighty Mouse. So you probably like line up with the Mighty Mouse alternate on seeing that Mighty Mouse.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Except for I wasn't able to beat him. He was stronger than me.
Yeah. Now in the pit area, you put any kids into the cockpit of the car?
Yeah, I've done that at many races. Take a lot of pictures. It just depends. I've had when we're in staging lanes, I've put some kids in the car. Usually, if people ask, we'll let them say. They just got to be careful with some of the controls in the car, especially the fire bottles. You don't want to set those things off.
Right. So now, can you think of a most embarrassing moment you've had on the track?
Probably the most embarrassing moment for me was I actually was driving my dad's Anglia, and I laid it on its side, And then when I was trying to get out of it, I couldn't get out of it through the passenger door because I couldn't hold the door open and climb out because I'm too short.
So how'd you get out?
A guy ended up climbing over the wall and hold the door open for me so I could climb out.
Now, if you weren't a drag racer, what do you think you'd be doing?
I wasn't a drag racer. Oh man, that's a tough one because I've only lived as a drag racer probably my whole life. I'd probably be into go karts maybe, riding more. I have a quad, so we go do some dirt bike riding and that kind of stuff. I'm sure it would be something to go fast.
So do you build go karts?
I've done some go kart driving. You know, they have like pole position here and fast lap. I've never had one of my own, but they're pretty fun when we go get a chance to go play with some.
So now, what would you consider to be the fondest memory of your drag racing career?
Probably my fondest memory was my first Super Comp race in Hawaii. The first race I ever entered, I actually won.
So your first race in Super Comp, you won?
Yep. And we just had bought the car from my uncle, had it painted to my colors, and yeah, the very first Super Comp race I actually entered, we ended up winning the event. I think there was like 8 or 10 cars, so we had to go like 3-4 rounds, and it wasn't too bad, but it was exciting.
So what year was that?
That was 1994.
And what track?
Hawaii Raceway Park. Yeah. We were running with the 50th State Pro Gas Association, and I ended up winning Rookie of the Year that year. I think I finished in the top 5 in the points that year.
Now, James, if people are listening to the interview right now and they're, they want to know your schedule for next year and all that good stuff, what's the best way for people to find out where you're going to be at?
Most likely would be my Facebook page, Impatient Racing. That's where I normally post when I'm going to races, and we really don't have a schedule because there's only a couple races that we do, so it's usually when we get contacted by racetracks and want us, then I'll be able to post a date when we're going to be available. But that's probably the best place you would see information on where we're going to be at is my Impatient Racing Facebook page.
So now, James, how important do you think it is for families to bring kids out to watch drag racing in this day and age?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, if the people don't bring out their families and the kids, there's nobody for us to put on a show for. So it's all about the fans. You gotta make sure you take care of them and give them the time. And if the kids don't come out and don't enjoy it, then racing ends up dying just like anything else. You gotta keep people interested so the racing can keep going. And that's good about the Junior Dragster program. And we didn't have that when I was growing up. So you just have to wait till you got old enough to get your driver's license before you could go racing.
Now, one subject I've been talking about with a lot of drivers lately is, I've been watching a lot of live feeds from different tracks over the summer, and I've seen a lot of empty seats at tracks. It's not looking good.
Yeah, it's funny. Is it just determines the type of racing? I know I watched some of the street outlaw stuff, the no prohibition. They pack the place, and that's kind of what some people are going into. And then some racetracks like Bakersfield, the March Meet and the Reunion will pack the place. But then you'll do a nostalgia race at Vegas. We had some heritage races here for several years, and the tracks don't help promote it, or just the venues don't attract because they're not used to that type of racing. They're used to only the big NHRA national events or NASCAR. So and like Boise, at their Nightfire Nationals and their Igniter, they'll pack the place every night. every racetrack is just different in type of racing.
Yeah, there's a few tracks they do real good of promoting and all that, getting a lot of people in like Boise and Norwalk and Martin, Michigan.
Yep, and they know how to cater and bring in shows that the people want to see, and but the racetracks also got to be willing to be part of it, and it's hard even like a big racetrack like Vegas. You know, when you come in with a small event, you might get 5,000-10,000 spectators, but it doesn't look like you got a good crowd turnout because the track is so big. So when you're looking at the grandstands, it looks like you got nobody there, even though for a small event, you might have done well, but the racetrack just looks so empty because the grandstands is for 30,000 people, which that's what you pull in for a national event.
Yeah. That's good thing going with, is Chris Graves with the funny car chaos. He's getting a lot of people coming in because a lot of people are hungry to see a lot of funny cars.
Oh yeah, that's true. And he, like anything else, is he promotes it. You always see information about it. He takes care of the racers. He goes to good, small racetracks, so he doesn't have the big overhead, but he can draw the cars to go. He can draw the fans, and that's what it's about. And you got to have a racetrack that really wants to work with you. If you have a racetrack that just wants to make their money and they don't care whether or not your show works great or this and that, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but him and Tara are doing an awesome job with that funny car cast.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And the one thing which is great about his is, he doesn't have a lot of rules, and he's allowing nitro cars and all-call cars, so it's kind of just a performance. Bring a funny car, a certain amount of safety rules, and let's just race and put on a show.
Yep. Run what you brung. Long as there's a funny car body on it. Could be a big show funny car, whatever. Yeah.
Yep. And I think a few of the first couple races, or even last year, was won by an all-call funny car racing against the nitro cars.
Yeah, Ken Singleton, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And then you had now Alan Metaphor, I think is his name. He's been hauling butt with that big show nitro funny car. Too bad he crashed it. Didn't have parachutes at the last race.
Yeah.
That thing's been putting up some numbers.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of entertainment in funny car cast. Seeing like Jordan Blue with the Blue Thunder doing a dry hopping, dry hop king.
Yep.
Man. Yep.
Yep. And it's all about the entertainment, the show, and that's what Chris has been putting on. Is he's been putting on a show, and he's been getting the turnouts.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of people are hungry to see a big field of funny cars, like 25, 30 funny cars at a track.
Yeah, and if you can get good running cars and there's not a lot of downtime, that even makes the show better.
Yeah. Yeah, but people like to see long smoky burnouts and dry hopping.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do some long burnouts. I haven't done any dry hops yet, but I tend to do when we have done the Verona, I almost took it to the 8th mile finish line on a couple of my burnouts. So that part is fun.
Then the people like the big header flames, like Alan Millendorf has. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, that's just like the Tom Mochi car with the big header flames, and John Lawson with the two funny cars.
Yep, the Runaway. Yeah, yep. And header flames is what you sell. You sell big header flames, smoke, and noise.
Yep. So now, James, you have any final words? Any thank yous, final words, any last comments, anything?
I'd just like to thank my wife, Mindy, my dad, James, my mom, Diane, my sister, Jocelyn, my brother-in-law, Billy, and my niece, Haley, and my friend, Damien, for all their help and support. If it's not for all of them, you can't take the car anywhere because you can't run it by yourself. It needs help every time it goes to the racetrack.
All right, well, one more question now. If someone's listening to this interview and they're like thinking they want to, try to drive a Nitro Fuel Ultra, what kind of advice would you give them?
you have to be very patient with it, and you have to be very mindful of what you're doing. They're very temperamental, and you can get in over your head really quick. And it's just taking your time, not trying to be a hero, and just you can always come back to make a run the next round instead of trying to win every round. But they are fun and they make it exciting.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much for taking time to interview tonight, James.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. It was fun.
And we'll do another one in the future. Probably next
Oh
year.
yeah.
Probably next year we'll see how you're doing with the fuel altered.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're getting ready for next year's March meet. Hopefully we can win the whole thing. We got to redeem ourselves.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck next year.
All right, you too, Dave. I appreciate it.
All right. You have a great night, James.
You too. Good night.
Bye bye.